Hello everyone and good evening to some more Sporting Memories quiz. So what's the theme for this weekend? Well, we've been talking about in the groups this week and we're going to look at sporting venues. Yeah, venues where stadiums, locations that could be, maybe things that don't happen there anymore. So quite a bit of nostalgia. Mixture of the usual football, athletics, rugby, cricket, etc. Motorsport. So 15 questions. I'll read them out this evening and then tomorrow I'll do the usual. I'll go through the answer and a little bit of background as well. So are we ready for some sporting memories looking at venues? So number one, I'm going to start you off with some track and field athletics, and it goes like this. The Dream Mile, can you remember that? The Dream Mile is an annual race run at which famous stadium? Which famous athletic stadium? So the Dream Mile. If you're of a certain age, you'll probably remember certain British athletes breaking records at this particular stadium quite frequently. So it's a very famous stadium in terms of athletics. The Dream Mile. Where's that held? That's number one. Number two, switching over now to pro cycling. In which city is the last stage of the Grand Tour of Italy held, otherwise known as the Giro d'Italia? What city in Italy sees the last stage of the Tour of Italy? Well, it has in the last decades. In its earliest year, probably wasn't. But where is it now regularly finishes? What Italian city? That's number two. Number three, swinging now to tennis. What was the venue for the famous tennis tournament which started back in 1877? Wow, does it? I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? 1877. You probably thought it didn't go back that far. So don't overthink it. The famous tennis tournament which started back in that date. Probably more familiar to you than you think. So go with your gut feeling on that one. You're probably right. And number four, we're going to go now to another famous stadium. In what decade did the old or the first Wembley first open? In what decade did the original Wembley first open? So you might have seen photos of a particular final that will give you a clue. It's probably back in time a bit further than you realise. So when did Wembley open and have the first FA Cup final there? What year, or what decade, sorry, was that? Moving back to cycling now, which famous French city hosted the prologue, which is like a short time trial, of the Centenary Tour de France? So the Centenary Tour was 2003. So where did they start this short little time trial in France? What city did they begin? That's number five, the Centenary Tour. Number six, football now. Which football club, who now play at the KC Stadium, played for a whopping 56 seasons at Boothbury Park? So which football club, who now play at the KC Stadium, played initially for 56 seasons at Boothbury Park? Probably rings a few bells, the KC and Boothbury. Which football club is that? I'm sure you've all heard of it. That's number six. Number seven, bit of motorsport now. So if you're a fan, this is your turn. The Daytona 500 is a 500-mile long motor race held annually at Daytona International Speedway. In which US state? So where do they hold the famous, probably more famous in America obviously, but what state is Daytona 500 held? Where is that held? Can you picture it? Probably not quite as famous as the Indy 500, but it probably is in America. At 7. Now, number 8, going back to stadiums, the Bird's Nest Stadium was an Olympic venue at which Olympic Games? There's a little clue there. The Bird's Nest. You may have heard of Bird's Nest soup. There's a little clue for you. So the Bird's Nest Stadium was an Olympic venue at which Olympic Games? So you can give me the year, you can give me the city, you can give me both. So the clue is Bird's Nest soup. Have you ever eaten that before? Or where do people like to eat that? There's your clue. Bird's Nest Stadium. Number 9. Which 2 teams were due to kick off in the 1985 European Cup final when a wall collapsed at the Heysel Stadium in Belgium, which then led, didn't it, to a lengthy ban in England? So which 2 teams were due to kick off in the 1985 European Cup final when tragically a wall collapsed at the Heysel Stadium? The teams who played are often overshadowed, obviously, by those tragic events. Number 10, motorsport fans. It's your turn again. Here we go. At which Grand Prix circuit was Ayrton Senna most successful? At which Grand Prix circuit was Ayrton Senna the most? Where did he win the most? So, in all of his World Championship titles, what Grand Prix did he gain the biggest success at winning it? Interesting one. Number 11, cricket fans. This is your turn. At which ground did Ian Botham score his maiden first-class century in county cricket? At which ground did Ian Botham score his maiden first-class century in county cricket? Now, we know he was playing for Somerset. It was back in 1976. Can you think of any cricket grounds where he might have taken that century? That's number 11. Number 12 is quite an interesting one. Which Football League club plays at the oldest stadium in the Football League? Which Football League club plays at the oldest stadium in the Football League? And probably, I think it is, probably the world even. So this is quite a big honour, isn't it? Which club plays at the oldest stadium? Now, obviously, there's a lot of different ones we could go for. The oldest club, the oldest stadium, the oldest ground. They're not always the same thing. So we're looking for the oldest stadium this time. Where would that be? That was 12. Now, number 13, I'm going to do your multiple choice because it's a little bit hard. Not that the others are that easy, I understand. But number 13, which one of the following Olympic cities has only hosted the Olympic Games once? So I'm going to give you 3 cities. Los Angeles, Paris, or Rome. One of those has only held the Olympic Games once. The others have held it more than once. So here we go. Los Angeles, Paris, Rome. Which one do you think that is? Or can you work it out? Number 14. The annual university boat race starts downstream of which London bridge? Now, you can probably think about a lot of the bridges. If you go through the route, you've probably thought of there's Barnes, there's Putney, there's Hammersmith, Chiswick. Which one of these bridges is just downstream of the start? Can you picture that? Or maybe you used to live in London, so you know. And finally, number 15. What was the venue for England's Rugby World Cup win in 2003? What was the city or the location for England's Rugby World Cup win in 2003? So if you can name the city, then you get the point. If you're really good, you can name the stadium. So what was the city? Where did they become world champions? So that's all 15 done. Hope you enjoyed it. Quite a mix. I know there's a few tough nuts in there, but hopefully it'll give you a bit to think about. and then tomorrow night we'll catch up and go through the answers. So bye bye for now.